The title of this video is not clickbait. I'm actually going to give you 50 foods in this video that I'm seeing across the domain of fitness, and I want to rank them in this video. As you can see, really interesting tier list. As you can see, we have a bunch of nuance over here. Vegan MD approved at the bottom. We'll see why. I just want to make one thing clear before I start this video. I have my own criteria for the food that I'm going to list in this video, and that criteria is how much actually, first, how much actually the food is bioavailable. Second, it cannot contain naturally occurring pesticides or toxins inside of a food. So anything like oxalates, gluten, phytic acid, phytoestrogens, it's just immediately going down to plague or vegan MD approved, because that type of food is not what humans have ate. It's causing a lot of problems, a lot of harm, cardiovascular disease. Fat is actually good for you. These foods are the problem, and you will see throughout the video which foods end up in this category. Spoiler alert, it's going to be plague and vegan MD approved, those two tier columns, okay? Also, one more thing I want to mention is that it's available to anyone, okay? So anyone can actually get their hands on these foods. It isn't like some fucking expensive tomahawk steak, and of course, it has to be evolutionarily consistent. That is my criteria for the food. If you don't know who I am, my name is Žarko. I should probably said it earlier, but anyway, my name is Žarko, and I help busy entrepreneurs get jacked, improve their health, improve their fitness, so they can make money with their business. And I got myself jacked. I helped my friend get jacked. I work with a couple of clients right now to get them jacked, and I just want to start this video right now because I have a bunch of shit to fucking cover. So the first food, and I'm looking over here on my laptop if you wonder why I'm looking at the left corner. First food is red meat. Red meat is the best food to eat to get jacked. I don't care who you are. I don't care what type of mainstream bullshit you have been hearing about red meat. It's the best food. By far. It has so much zinc, it has so much nutrition, so much minerals, so much vitamins. I don't even want to debate it. If you don't believe red meat is good for us, then you should leave this video immediately, because you're going to get pissed a lot. Next food, eggs. Eggs itself is Gym Bro approved. Of course, it isn't like the red meat tier, because red meat is red meat. But it's definitely the best protein beside red meat. It goes red meat, eggs, and then other meat proteins like chicken, like turkey. Depending on how they're fed also can impact the quality and the richness of the protein, but I don't want to go into that right now in this video because it's just about food that I'm going to give you and pretty much all the actionable steps, right? Next food, egg whites. Egg whites are Gym Bro approved. Now again, I would like you to still keep the yolk, okay, because yolk is really nutritious. It's actually amazing for humans. Bunch of studies showing that if you the more yolks you actually eat from the eggs, the less your cardiovascular disease is going to be, the less percentage there is. It is kind of mainstream MD approved, but I'm just putting it over here because it's the best protein we as humans have. Literally the best protein that is bioavailable in nature that we as humans can get our hands on. And that is why I'm putting it in this bracket, but I'm still going to put egg in front of egg yolks. Or egg with egg yolks, instead of just egg with whites. Next, bagels. Where is it? Where is the bagel? Bagels. Here we go. As I said at the beginning, it's really important we understand why I put bagels here. Bagels have naturally occurring toxins like gluten, lectins, phytochemicals, phytoestrogens, phytic acid that are not fucking pleasant for our stomachs. A lot of people, and trust me, a lot of people can't tolerate gluten. They just can't. But they just still keep on eating it because they think it's healthy. I have seen this one guy, man, I'm just, poor fucking soul. He's obese. I'm talking about minimum 300 pounds plus. And the guy was in front of me in a supermarket, and he was buying these crackers. And I just like look at him and I was like, man, he genuinely fucking believes he's doing good for himself. This shit is going to kill you. Like I'm telling you right now, bread, wheat, gluten is going to kill you. It doesn't have any special nutrients that you need. People say, but bread has so much protein. It doesn't. It's all in gluten. And guess what? You cannot break down gluten. You cannot ferment it. So please don't eat the shit. It's vegan MD approved. It's amazing in vegan community, but it's bad. It's really bad. Don't eat bagels, please. No more fucking bagels for breakfast in fitness industry, please. Next, peanuts. Peanuts are plague. Now, yes, I was bulking on peanut butter. I was doing it for the pure gains, and it did gain significantly a lot of muscle. But here's a catch. When I eat peanuts, my skin is like a landmines. My gut is hurting all fucking day, and that is because of oxalates. Peanuts have bunch of oxalates, and every single nut has bunch of oxalates, and almonds also have cyanide, which has been shown again and again and again in studies to cause horrible gut issues. Like these lectins or these oxalates, they can actually pass like through vagus nerve, which is the only nerve that is like, you know, when you hear the term gut and brain axis, like how your gut and your brain is all interlinked. Well, it's that vagus nerve that you have in your gut. And so when you eat these oxalates, they can actually pass through vagus nerve and end up in your head. And if you want to Google oxalates, they look like small needles. Your body doesn't want to have small needles inside of it. Trust me. Peanuts, I highly recommend you don't eat them. They're probably one of like the worst nuts you can eat. Except for almonds. They're like the worst ones, definitely. So peanut butter, I'm just not a fan of it. Again, it's a seed oil inside of it, like all the fat that you get from the peanut, it's seed oil. Same thing. Next, almonds. Vegan MD approved. Really bad for you. Cyanide. It is literally been known to use as a poison to kill emperors and like queens and people at the top, so they can like dethrone them and their whole family. Like, just don't fucking drink poison. Like, don't eat poison. It's that simple. If you don't believe me, do your own research. But I'm telling you what I have done and what works for me really well right now. And I'm not saying you should take my advice 100% strictly, but I'm saying what has worked for me right now really well, and how I end up gaining more and more muscle and just living better and healthier life. Okay, so almonds, not a big fan. Peanuts, not a fucking big fan. Next up, nuts in general. Plague. I'm just not fucking with nuts at all. Okay, every single nut has some kind of downside to it. Again, almond has probably the worst one. Peanuts are not that great. Again, any single nut that you can get your hands on is not going to be that well, because think about the plant, okay? Plant doesn't want you to eat its seeds. What is a nut? It's a seed. It is supposed to be a precursor to its baby, its new child. It's like literally, like, think about it like literally evolutionary. The animal would just not give you its child to eat it. It would never do that. And so it would have some kind of defense chemicals. Claws, it can run away, it can put it in its bag like kangaroos. Plants do the same things but with toxins. Literally the same fucking things. So please understand that. It's really important you understand that, because a lot of people don't know that. Next up is rice. Rice is Jim Bro approved. It is by far the best grain you can get your hands on. Grains are horrible for you. They're really bad for you. But rice is the best out of every single one of them. I personally, when I like eat rice or the other food that I'll also mention, I feel pretty fine. Like, I don't have some kind of weird brain fog. My energy is pretty stable, and I don't need to do anything like special and, you know, fucking take bananas and, you know, have some kind of energy like coffee and all those energy drinks if I just eat rice, if I just like eat other foods that I'm going to mention. But when I don't eat these kinds of foods, then I need to like supplement with some kind of energy, with some kind of caffeine, which is why most people like just have horrible lives. Is because they fucking supplement with coffee, with who knows how many cups of coffee, and then they go to bed and they still have like 200 milligrams of caffeine in their bloodstream because they don't know that you should not be drinking coffee 12 hours before bed. But that is a separate topic for itself. Okay, so rice is definitely fine and decent. Next up, chicken. Chicken is mainstream MD approved. Now, I have nothing against chicken if it's actually organic and you know how it's raised. Then I would put it in a gym bro approved. But the problem with chicken is like, again, it's a monogastric animal. It doesn't have multiple chamber stomach, and every single type, like every single part of estrogen from the fucking soy and from the grains that these chickens, poor chickens, have been fed, is in the muscle meat, because monogastric animals, they cannot break down that well. So I just don't. I'm just not with chicken at all. Okay, I don't eat chicken that much. Sometimes it happens, but I prefer beef, lamb, goat, red meat. Next, pasteurized milk. MD approved. Mainstream MD approved. I wanted to put it in a plague, but plague is just tier for itself. Listen, milk is not bad, but pasteurized milk is fucking horrible. I just want to put here, where is it? Raw dairy, okay? There's a difference between raw dairy and pasteurized dairy. Pasteurized dairy is heated up and the K2 protein inside of it is broken down. And you also break down the enzymes that are going to break down the K2 protein, which means you are just left with half broken K2 protein that goes into our system. When it goes into our system, what happens? You can kind of fucking guess it. When a half broken K2 protein goes into our system, our stomach or our body starts being inflamed, which is why most people can't tolerate milk and dairy. If you can tolerate milk and dairy, or if you don't know if you can, I highly recommend, and you want to drink dairy, raw dairy. Raw dairy is the best type of dairy. I don't recommend drinking pasteurized dairy because same thing. It has antibiotics, full of grains, full of bullshit. Raw milk is far better. Okay, far better. And also if it's organic, you fucking found the spot. And also grass fed. That is the only like solution to the milk, because I'm just not fucking with this, man. Like people buying these like plastic cartons like raw or milk and they just drink it and, oh yeah, I'm bulking, bro. Listen, you're literally ingesting millions of milligrams of estrogen. I'm just not fucking with that. But yeah, pasteurized milk, not a big fan of. Raw milk, absolutely amazing. Now next up, raw cheese. This is supposed to be raw cheese. Same thing with milk. It's amazing if you can get your hands on the raw cheese. So just be aware of that. If you don't know if it's raw, by the way, just flip the label, and if it says like pasteurized, it means it isn't, and just don't buy it, I guess. But even if you're somebody who can tolerate pasteurized milk, I mean, you can still drink it, or pasteurized cheese, but do it in a less quantity, because again, it's still like shady where the background is coming from. Next up, salmon. Salmon is mainstream MD approved. Mainstream MD approved is where I'm going to put it. Now listen, salmon, if we would go 300 years ago, back in the time, and you would catch a salmon, then yeah, sure, fucking dig in. But these days, first of all, most of the salmon that you can buy in a supermarket is farmed. Farmed means it's grain fed with soy. Soy is estrogenic. It's ending up in its system because it's monogastric animal. I'm just not content that it's good for us, okay? And the other reason why also is because most of the fish that they actually farm and raise in these kinds of like small chambers, they raise them there, it's full of microplastics. Like, it's really close to the shore, and shore is known to have a lot of microplastics and plastics in general. And so it's all ending up in our system, and that is why I just don't eat salmon. I just don't eat it. It is tasty. It is really good and nutritious food, but the problem is like you simply can't get the good quality salmon, even if you go out of your way and you somehow find the wild caught one. It still probably has a bunch of plastics. So that is why I just don't eat salmon. Next up, tuna. Same thing. And also I want to put here fish. Everything that I said for salmon is same with tuna, same with fish. The only exception for this is sockeye salmon. That is the, like, if you want to eat fish, sockeye salmon is the best one. Like, it's kind of like the red salmon. That is the best salmon you can eat. Anything else, I just do not recommend at all. Okay, I just do not recommend eating fish. Also, for like talpia, please don't eat that shit. It's like full of microplastics and heavy metals and all this other shit, and soy. So don't eat any of those also. Next up, beans, plague, lectins, naturally occurring chemicals that I said in the beginning of a video. If it has those kinds of things, it isn't also bioavailable at all. Bunch of gas, bloating. Like, I tried, man. Like, I honestly tried to like include beans and to like eat beans, but every single time it just destroys my stomach. Okay, destroys my stomach. If you're somebody who is sensitive like me, like getting rid of the beans, nuts, bagels, wheat, oxalates, also the other grains that I'm going to mention, it's going to do a really good job with your stomach. Next up, cottage cheese. Jimbo approved. It's actually really good stuff if you can get your hands on an organic one. I'm not even sure if they have like actually organic cottage cheese. But yeah, if you're somebody who is, again, not in a dairy mood, if you just don't eat dairy, if you can't tolerate it, then I guess don't eat it. But it's good if you can tolerate it, and if it's organic, and if you can see that like the quality is high. Because again, dairy, like for dairy especially, quality is really important. With red meat, not that much, because they are multiple chamber gastric animals. They have like a couple of chambers in their stomach, and they can really break down the soy and all the shit that they have been given to, even if they're grain fed. But still, it's going to end up in a milk. Okay, it's still end up in a milk, which again, I'm just not a big fan of if the cheese is made from a grain fed cow. That is the cottage cheese. Next up, turkey. Turkey. Chicken, same thing with chicken, literally. It's just, if it's grain fed, then I would avoid it. If it isn't, if it's organic, then sure, go ahead. Okay, same thing with chicken. Protein powder, plague. Yes, I put gold standard whey protein in fucking plague. I don't care what the fuck people say, this shit is fucking plague. If you flip the ingredients and if you look at this shit, which I don't want to do in this video because for me to find it, whatever, you can see it yourself. It's not fucking healthy for you. Like having xanthan gum, and I think this one has xanthan gum or some kind of other garbage like emulsifier or some kind of like weird color. It cannot be fucking healthy for you. Every single time I bought whey proteins, my stomach was just destroyed. And I don't mean like diarrhea, I mean my stomach was literally fucking hurting for 3 days straight. That is why I'm just not fucking with this shit anymore. So whey protein, any of this shit that is like, protein powders and protein bars, same thing with protein bars. Don't eat them. Please don't eat them. That is not a real food. It has soy isolate, and I've told you already that soy has bunch of estrogen. Like 90% of soy protein that they put in this shit has estrogen. And that is not me just saying some random numbers. It is me literally saying the numbers from the book called Estrogeneration. If you want to read it, fucking amazing book. But please don't eat this shit. If it's like your only option, then sure. But I would still rather eat nuts and peanuts than I would eat protein bars and like protein shakes. If you buy the whey protein that doesn't have like a bunch of these ingredients and it's like grass-fed cow, and then from that you get like whey protein and it has maybe just like one ingredient that is like also some kind of flavor, cool. That is decent and okay. But these types of proteins, I'm not recommending them to anybody. Next, olive oil. Mainstream. It isn't that good because it doesn't have that kind of a good profile of fats. But yeah, it's decent, better than seed oils that I'm going to mention in this video. But I just still won't recommend it. Like, it's better definitely than most of the things you can cook your food on. but still there's better that I'm again going to mention in this video, what to cook your food on. Next, pork. Pork is decent. I would say mainstream MD approved. It's okay, but again, same thing with chicken and turkey. If it's grain fed, it's going to have bunch of that grains, especially in fat. Okay, it's because estrogen is stored in fat. So the more fat you have, the more estrogen you have. Like there is some kind of correlation. So I'm just not in this mood of like eating pork, because pork can be grain fed. A lot of times it is grain fed. And again, if it's grain fed, estrogen is going to end up in its fat, in its meat, and you're going to ingest that estrogen. So yeah, I'm just not with pork at all. It's better like than most of the foods you can eat, don't get me wrong, but we're just looking here at the most optimal food. Greek yogurt. Jimbro approved. Okay, it's good. Find organic one, find K2 protein one, and you're going to be cool. I already mentioned that and why that is important, so I think I don't have to mention that again. Next up is cereals. Vegan MD approved. It's literally the fucking poison of this world. Don't eat cereals, please. Please don't eat cereals. It's one of the worst foods you can ever eat in your entire life. I'm not joking. Like, cereals have been literally shown to increase the risk of heart disease and increase the risk of like all this, even autism, man. Like kids who eat cereals and who have autism, they are never going to recover from it, because your mind, like essentially autism is just, as I don't know exactly what it is, but as I can assume, it's some kind of brain damage. Essentially your brain is damaged for whatever reason, and if you look at how our minds grew as humans through evolution, it's through fats. Like, because we became more adapted to eating fat, and because we ate more fat, because we hunted animals, our minds grew. And so if you just want to solve this brain damage to some degree, increase your fats and decrease fucking carbs. That is why almost every single autistic kid goes on a low carb diet and just is so much better. Improves his condition by miles. It's because of that. Because of ketosis. But yeah, cereals, fucking horrible for you. I don't recommend them. I don't want to see people saying how cereals are good for you for your training, saying how you can eat like 5 those like small patchy gummies before a workout, in the middle of a workout, to get energy. Shut the fuck up, bro. Are you going to eat fucking small gummies I need energy, I need fucking sugar? Shut the fuck up. Eat the foods that I'm telling you to eat. You're going to get jacked. I tried to fucking eat cereals, and every single time I felt like fucking lethargic and tired. Next, oats. Same thing. Vegan MD approved. Oats are fucking horrible. Phytic acid, oxalates, gluten, phytoestrogens, high levels of heavy metal cadmium, which is actually shown, like it's linked with kids who have brain damage. Like, it's actually shown to like increase the rate of brain damaging children, for their brain to not develop properly. I'm just not like, and also, by the way, the soil that they make oats in and all these grains is just destroyed. I want to make a joke, but I just don't want to say it. Okay, with soils and oats. Okay, I just don't want to say it. I don't know what YouTube can do to me, but yeah, it's just destroyed. The soil that is made, that these oats are made in, doesn't, like, it's malnutrition, doesn't have any nutrition, and it's just farmed, overproduced, and you can imagine what kind of shit there is in this oats. God forbid knows what their oats. Next, seeds. Vegan MD approved. Same shit. Plants does not want you to eat its seeds, stems, and roots. Okay, not any of this shit. And people eat these things these days. People think, oh well, and also leaves. I forgot that. If I eat kale, spinach, and broccoli, I'm going to be healthy. No, you're not, because it's all leaves. Plant does not want you to eat its leaves, because it's literally, like, imagine this, right? You eating a leaf of a plant is like saying to a tiger, yo G, can I just get your arm or like leg? Just like that, for no reason. He'll be like, fuck no. Like, get off, man. I'm just going to eat you alive. What the fuck are you doing here? Same thing with plants. People think that just because a plant cannot scratch us and cannot run away, it's healthy for us. No, it's not. Like, try eating random leaves from the ground once you go to I don't know, supermarket or whatever you go. You're going to die. You're going to die, okay? Next, sweet potatoes. Jimbro approved. It does have oxalates, but it's the best carb beside rice. That for me, myself, works, okay? I feel much more fuller when I eat sweet potato than when I eat rice. And so it's just a cool carb. I mean, it's a decent carb, it's okay carb, and it works well for me. It has oxalates, which is unfortunate, but you know, it has the least amount of oxalates you can actually find, which is also cool stuff. So that is what I eat. They are essentially pretty decent food. Next up, leafy greens. Oh fuck no. Vegan MD approved. Please don't eat your greens. Don't eat vegetables. Most people do not need vegetables to be healthy. Yeah, most people don't eat them. If you want to eat them, you can eat them, but if you have some kind of autoimmune condition, please remove fucking vegetables, and especially leafy greens. Next, banana. Mainstream MD approved. It's decent, it's fruit, it's much better than roots and stems and leaves and nuts. I just don't like banana because it's a fast sugar, and so when I eat a banana, my mind is just like so done. It's like I can feel the difference between eating banana and eating rice, and so I just choose to eat rice over banana because I just feel much better. But yeah, that is why I don't eat banana or any kind of fruit, is because my mind is essentially just big of a cluster when I eat those kinds of foods. Berries, same thing. They're decent. They're actually good. I can even say, man, that is like they are the food that humans have probably most likely have eaten when it was the season of these foods. But again, I don't really. I don't know. When I eat fruit, I don't feel that well. Let's just say it like that. Next up is mangoes. Same stuff, and I think the next one is pineapple. Same thing. Now honey is Jimbro approved. It's good, it's decent, but I still don't eat it because same thing, it's a simple sugar, but it's way better than fruit, at least in my opinion. Okay, I feel much better on honey than when I feel on fruit, and it's probably because most of the food that we eat these days is GMO. It has been literally like made it so that the fruit is like so much larger. Like if you look at bananas 200 years ago, they were much smaller, much more seeds, and it's probably because of that. But when I eat honey, it isn't that bad. Okay, I don't still include it in my diet because I just hate simple sugars. That's why I want to be able to work and do other stuff. That is why I avoid any single kind of simple sugar. But if you're somebody who just wants to train and lift, and honey is not a problem for you, I would say go with the honey. And also, by the way, buy raw honey. It's way better. Next food, or next on the list, junk food. Junk food is plague. Okay? Don't eat junk food, please. You don't need me to explain why that is the case. Junk food and snacks, I believe, are the second one. Yeah. Don't eat those kinds of foods, please. Okay? Now, next up, we have burgers and pizzas. Now, listen, they're still the plague, but they're much better. The reason why I put them like separately is because depending on the quality of ingredients and depending on where you buy them, they can actually be somewhat decent, depending on also the person who you are. If you're somebody who can tolerate a bunch of food and a bunch of shit, then eating a burger will not hurt you that much. And especially if the ingredients out of a burger are something like fancy, doesn't just have like some weird seed oils, then yeah, it's decent food. It isn't that bad for you. But if you, for example, go to like some fast food chain, then that can be a big problem. Okay, eating like fucking burger can be a big problem. So depending on where you buy it and how you tolerate gluten, oxalates, and other types of stuff, seed oils, it can be okay and decent. Okay, but I'm not saying it's a healthy food at all. I'm not saying you should eat this to get jacked, because I don't eat this. It's just I'm putting it in a plague tier list, or tier because of that. Next up, pasta and bread. Fuck me. Vegan MD approved. Horrible for you. Gluten is horrible. Next up, grains. I think it's this one. Horrible for you. Same thing with oats. It's made in a soil that is literally like a woman with a 150 body count. You would just not want to go in there, okay? Same thing. If you put something in there, like, you're fucked. Same thing with grains. That soil is just destroyed that these grains are made on. They have zero nutrition. They're probably lying on the nutrition pact because they have to. They have to, because if they would actually show the nutrition, it would literally have nothing. And yeah, I just don't think, based on my evidence and based on my research, that you should eat grains. When I cut them out, I felt 10 times better. So that is why I don't eat grains. Next up is potato. Potato is mainstream MD approved. It's okay if you can get your hands on an organic one. Anything beside that is I just not big fan of. Now, yeah, if you do get your hands on an organic one, it isn't that much better, but it's still better. Okay, it's still better quality, especially if it's like, raised by somebody who some kind of farmer. If you can get your hands on stuff like that, it's pretty decent. I don't eat them because I don't like them. Like, I don't like a potato. It is a good carb, don't get me wrong, but I would still eat my rice and my sweet potato. I just feel much better on that, and it doesn't have a bunch of nutrition. I mean, same thing with rice, but I just like rice much more than potatoes. So if you like potatoes, you can just swatch them with rice, and that's it. Okay, if that is your thing. But I prefer rice and sweet potato over just potato. Next up, energy drinks. Horrible for your plague. Please don't drink them. Coffee. Yeah, it's not good for you. It's a bean. Plants do not want you to eat its beans. Simple. Avocado. Gym bro approved. Really good for you. It's probably the only plant that if I had to include some kind of fruit, I would include avocado. It has the least amount of negative effects on me, at least, and I like it. Like, I generally do enjoy avocado, and if you want to eat some kind of plant, avocado is the one to go. Fruit. Mainstream MD approved. Talked about it already. Next up, cucumbers. They're also decent, okay, because especially if you remove, and please remove the skin and the seeds, because that is where the most toxins and the most defense chemicals is in skin and seeds. And so if you just remove skin and seeds, then you're good to go. You can eat cucumber without a problem. It is actually a fruit if you don't know, so yeah, it is decent. It is okay. Next up, tomato. Plague. It isn't healthy at all, okay? If you look at Native Americans, when they would eat tomatoes, people say, but yeah, they ate tomatoes. Yeah, they ate tomatoes, but what would they do with tomato? They would first peel off the skin, they would get rid of all the seeds, and they would ferment it for like 3 days. Okay? Understand that. Tomatoes need more work to be done if you want to eat them, actually. You absolutely don't need them to get jacked, by the way. Like, there is not any kind of special nutrition in plants, in plant material, in nuts, in grains that you will not get from these foods that I put here over the top. Okay? Everything that I put here, like gym bro approved and more, you should definitely eat if you want to get jacked. Now, exception, dairy if you cannot tolerate it, but that's pretty much it. Next up, ghee. Ghee, gym bro approved. Amazing food. It's really good source of fat. Yes, saturated fat is good for you. Okay, please don't get me with that kind of thing. Oh, saturated fat. It's good for you. Cholesterol is not the problem. Sorry for that. For this heart disease, it is sugar. It is seed oils. It is linoleic acid. It's junk food with 1055 fucking ingredients. That is the problem. It's not a ghee. It's not raw butter, which I'm going to also put in Jim Bro approved because it's an amazing food. And again, one more red meat for the red meat. So yeah, it's cholesterol, please. It's not a problem. LDL is not a problem. LDL is actually really good for us if we are metabolically healthy and if we don't have insulin resistance, which by the way you do get from eating bunch of carbs and bunch of like especially processed carbs, like that is how you get insulin resistance. Also having lack of sleep and also having like horrible mental health and everything else. That is how you get insulin resistant. If you are not insulin resistant and you have high LDL, nothing bad can happen. Okay, nothing bad can happen to you. But if you have insulin resistance and LDL high, then yes, you should be really careful with what you're doing because you can actually get heart disease and arteriosclerosis and all this fucking bullshit. I don't even know how to say it, but I'm just breaking my tongue with saying that shit. Next up, sauces. Plague. If it's homemade one, then I would say Jim Bro approved, depending on what you put inside of it. But because you probably do get some like sauce from like a supermarket, it's plague. It has emulsifiers, it has like E110 and all this other garbage, so I'm not recommending that kind of stuff. Next up, seed oils. And this is supposed to be junk food. Seed oils, the last one and the biggest evil that I have been waiting for all this time, is horrible for you. Seed oils are the reason why people get cancer these days. Like when you hear the statement, 40% of people get cancer. Of course, because they consume so much of seed oils that no wonder they get fucking cancer. So please don't consume seed oils. Please. They're not healthy for you. There is nothing special in seed oils that you're missing out on. People say, oh, it has a bunch of vitamin E. What? No, it doesn't. Vitamin E is not vitamin E. Simple. You can just gain it from eating ghee and raw butter and like yolks from the egg. That's it. If you're somebody who is an entrepreneur and you're watching this right now and you want to get jacked in the least amount of time, down below, first link in the description. I'll be fully transparent. It is a sales call, but I'm looking for just 5 guys so I can coach for really cheap to test out my program for entrepreneurs to see if I can actually get you jacked in the results that you want. Again, with least amount of time possible and with also manageable lifestyle. I will not tell you to fucking quit your business or to quit your work to get jacked. I will actually like try to balance it out and to help you out get jacked in the least amount of time possible while doing that. If you want to learn more about that, down below first in the description. And as always, bye. Please eat these foods to get jacked.